This is Enoch Lewis Nucky Johnson. Nucky comes from his first name. And of course in the show he's known as Nucky Thompson. But Nucky was born in Smithville, New Jersey, just over the way there, in 1883. And he was a graduate of the high school also in 1900. And he was appointed as his father's undersheriff in 1905 and then elected as sheriff in 1908. During the 1920s, he was the Atlantic County Treasurer, and he was elected to that position first in 1914. And then he also clerked during the 20s for the New Jersey Supreme Court at the very beginning of the decade. He never actually held an elected office in Atlantic City, which is surprising given his role in the city. And of course, he has his list of suspected criminal activities, proved or unproved. He headed up the Republican Party here and pretty much controlled most of what went on. Most of the jobs that were appointed as political positions went through him first. He took payoffs for gambling, prostitution, alcohol smuggling and production, a lot of these types of things that the federal government was never quite able to prove, but they were pretty sure that they were floating around. And he did live a very lavish lifestyle. He took up residence in the Ritz-Carlton, which was brand new in the 1920s, and had an apartment on Central Park, and cars and servants and lavish meals and very lavish, lots of women. Yes. He led the good life for all intents and purposes. He was investigated, of course, several times by the federal government, and he was eventually convicted of tax evasion. They couldn't get him on anything stronger than that. And he was in the federal penitentiary for 4 years, from 1941 to 1945. So I'm sorry if I'm spoiling the show for anybody. Hopefully you already knew the ending to this story. He was married twice. His first wife died in 1913, even before he was really in power, and it did very much affect him, from what we read in the accounts. And he later married Florence Osbeck the day before he went to jail in 1941. He died in 1968, and he is buried in Egg Harbor Township on Zion Road, Methodist Cemetery. The cemetery on Zion Road. I can't quite remember the denomination.